Hi, it's Colin Cowherd. I started The Volume to bring you some of the most authentic voices in sports. While you're here, make sure you hit subscribe. Thanks. Obviously, you don't move up for Trey Lance unless you want to play him. And he and Jimmy are really two different players. I mean, Trey is a bigger, stronger, more athletic kid. I don't think he has a very refined release yet. They have to work on him. And my takeaway is one of the hardest things to do in the NFL for a coach, ask Matt Nagy, is balance veteran and young guy. And I have always been one of these. I like what the Chiefs did with Mahomes. I like the veteran. I mean, what you did is rare. You had a veteran coach. You had a running game. That roster was offensively was okay. Most of the time, you rookie quarterbacks get the you-know-what kicked out of you. And so, I mean, so with Trey Lance, with Garoppolo, I think you have to kind of move him out of town because I want Trey to get every snap in camp, every snap. Because I think his delivery, Robert, it's not refined. It's not easy. He doesn't throw the ball like a burro, and they need to work on it. So I think I would move Garoppolo despite his success. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I said it during the game, or should I say at the end of the game. You know, the game ended on a Jimmy Garoppolo interception, however you want to look at that, right? It was tipped up by the wideout into the DB's hands, but it's a Jimmy Garoppolo interception on the stat sheet. And likely his career, most likely, is going to end on that interception with the 49ers. And it should. I think Jimmy G and Trey Lance, with Jimmy G, you know what you're going to get, right? Kyle trusts him in those situations at the end of the game to maybe lead you down the field or help you win a game 20-17. But with Trey Lance, the things that Jimmy couldn't do there at the end of that game when the pocket collapsed, right? And the off-schedule plays, that's what Trey Lance can do simply because he's talented in that way. Jimmy's been through a couple injuries, and as you've noticed over the course of his career, he doesn't run quite as much. He's not quite as confident while he's running. So when you talk about Trey Lance and Jimmy G, in my opinion, we don't know how Trey Lance throws the ball in game situations for an extended period of time. But you're right. He does need to get all the reps because every single rep that he's going to get in the offseason is going to help him get much, much better. And you're also right that when you talk about rookie quarterbacks, I mean, look at our guy over there with the Jets, Zach Wilson. Look at the Jags with Trevor Lawrence. They just got beat up a lot. Now, when we were in Washington, you know, we kind of took a system and used the parts that we had to make it work.
Yes.
I look at Pierre Garçon, right? He was my number one guy, and we missed him for much of that my rookie year. But he was kind of like a Deebo Samuel. We just didn't use him in the running game the way that Kyle is using Deebo. But Pierre, I mean, if he caught the ball, he was a load to handle. And we had other pieces. We had Leonard Hankerson, who was a big slot receiver. We had an older Santana Moss who can make plays for us. And I just feel like with Kyle, he's going to find a way schematically to get his guys in the best position to be successful. But when you have Jimmy G there and he's already led you to a Super Bowl, you're not going to replace him with Trey Lance. So I agree with you. Trey Lance, it should be the guy. They drafted him in the first round. You got to get Jimmy G out of there because, one, the team loves the guy, right? They just absolutely play their hearts out for him. And two, Trey Lance is your future. So you got to go already put all your books on that shelf. You got to start reading.
I want to ask you one question not aligned with the championship weekend. I joked about it the other day on the air. I called it the Green Bay Packer quarterback syndrome.
Okay.
So Favre and Aaron Rodgers are totally different guys. One's the small town Southerner, one's the hipster from California, and yet they've become the same guy. Talking retirement, threatening, like really like high maintenance, kind of playing the victim. And I said last week, I'm going to call it the Packer quarterback syndrome, that it's not a very good division. You tend to be the most high-profile player in that division, obviously the town of Green Bay. The expectations are high. It's a formidable brand. It's an easy sort of middle America brand to root for. People that don't live in Wisconsin, you know, the Packers are a little engine that could.
Right.
And when you have playoff disappointments, Favre and Rodgers, you do feel like you don't get a full deck of cards. Everybody else gets 52. You don't have your kings and your jacks and your queens, right? You don't have an owner. You can't go bang on your owner like Les Snead and Sean McVay did to get Stafford. You don't have that.
Right.
You don't have free agents. Most dudes don't want to play in Green Bay. And so what happens is in the NFL, unfortunately, you can be franchise tagged. You're trapped. Yeah. And so Favre and Rodgers get into this sort of like, man, I'm getting beat up here. I know I'm good. And I just want an owner, and I want a free agent market. Now, right. This is just me kind of, freewheeling it here, ad-libbing. But they share some similarities. And I feel like for Aaron, Green Bay's, it's a wonderful thing. But I do feel like the story's played out. I do feel like Aaron needs an owner. Aaron needs Denver. Like, I really do. Like, I have sympathy for Aaron. I think, and I had it for Favre. Like, Green Bay looks like it kind of in the modern day football, it kind of wears a star quarterback out a little, right? Do you sense that?
I see where you're going with it, but I'm gonna tie it back into the games that we just watched. Okay, so Aaron Rodgers has Davante Adams, arguably best receiver in all of football. I mean, you could throw some other guys out there. One guy you could throw out there is Jamar Chase, who didn't have the greatest game today. T. Higgins obviously had 100 yards receiving, played great for the Bengals. But a guy like Davante Adams and a guy like Jamar Chase, they're what I call HBO type players, right? They help a brother out. So when Joe Burrow throws the touchdown to Jamar Chase, the previous play, he threw a similar pass. It was terrible, right? The touchdown that he had, the back shoulder / jump ball that really wasn't a great throw either, Jamar Chase made it work, right? And I think Aaron needs more of those guys. He stood on the table to get Randall Cobb back to Green Bay, right? Everyone talked about it, how he demanded a certain amount of things in order to come back and play and not go host Jeopardy. So you're talking about the difference between a Randall Cobb, who in his prime, unbelievable player, and a Jamar Chase right now, who is also arguably the best receiver in all of the NFL. I think when you look at Green Bay, if Rodgers gets the say to say, look, I want that guy. I want that guy. I want you to draft that guy, and they don't draft another DB for the 4th straight year in the first round. I think he might be a little happier,
Yeah.
Joe Burrow won a national championship with Jamar Chase. You're telling me they didn't go to him and say, hey, do you want this guy? Can you win with this guy? 1,000% they did, but they didn't present it that way. They didn't say Joe Burrow drafted Jamar Chase, but I'm more than sure they got him on the phone and said, listen, we're going to get you guy. We're going to bring him in here. Because at the end of the day, at the end of games, who is Joe Burrow looking for? He's looking for Jamar Chase. That's why he threw that interception to L'Jarius Sneed, when he undercut the bench route. But over the course of the season, Jamar Chase puts up all these crazy numbers. He makes Joe Burrow's life easier, and Aaron doesn't have enough of those guys. And I think it's also a little bit about LaFleur, who is my quarterback coach in Washington, and the system that he runs. It's more similar to Kyle's than it is to McVay's. And because of that, you get in these games where you throw the ball 24 times. And if everything's going great, you kill it, right? You throw 4 touchdowns, the game's over, you win by 14. But if everything is not great, then at the end of the game, now you're having to come back from behind when you really haven't gotten a chance to get in that much of a rhythm throughout the game. So I think there's a lot of things to weigh there. I know LaFleur, and I know he loves Aaron and wants him to come back. I just think they got to get him more help, get him another star receiver, get him to go out and recruit some guys to come to Green Bay, because you're right. No one wants to play in Green Bay, but they do want to play with Aaron Rodgers. And I think that's the selling point. And he just hasn't gotten enough say in those matters for him to feel like, I should just stay here, because he wants a Super Bowl, and that team is ready to win a Super Bowl. They're just missing a couple pieces, just a couple.